The block wall. What is the block wall? Well, I'll explain it to you. There was a recent article written on the Huffington Post by a woman named Zeba Blay, that basically talks about how she thinks that people should actively stop being friends with their friends that they think might be slightly racist because they have some differences of opinions on things. She gives some reasons about how people of color like her have to cut off ties with their friends they think maybe are racist. So it is just white privilege that influences people not to do this. It's a garbage article, of course, but it was also written for free because apparently the Huffington Post doesn't really pay their writers, and now any reputable blog author, if there is such a thing, generally doesn't think that they should be published on a site because it's known not to pay authors anymore. It references Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter fame, who I think is super cool and pretty darn cute at this point. And they barely quote him because it's clickbait nonsense, and they always quote celebrities out of context to further a narrative. But I imagine his greater feelings are that he chooses to stay friends with people he disagrees with about some things, even though his perception of their alleged racism bothers him. I would also go on to imagine he occasionally gets into discussions with these people and tries to sway their opinions, because that's what you do with your friends you disagree with, right? Well, obviously not if you are a member of the regressive left who loves to not only publicly shame, protest, and silence opinions that they don't share, but also takes pride in disowning supposedly bigoted family members, purging their social media friend lists, and even blocking absolutely everybody they disagree with. I am not sure what kind of moron thinks that they somehow won in any way by blocking somebody and shrinking their friend count without actually necessarily winning an argument or changing how somebody thinks. But boy, is it popular with the SJW types. Some of them, even famous ones like Cat Black, will go so far as to take out of context screen captured quotes from people and just lie about what that person was actually saying in the conversation in an attempt to smear them and get others to attack them and also block them. And then Cat Black will block that person from posting so they can't even respond to the smear. It's disgusting, and I've seen her do this to people numerous times, or even flat out delete posts. And she totally denies it all. The fact that articles like the one referencing Daniel Radcliffe are actively encouraging this behavior boggles the mind, and I've been seeing it coming for ages. I almost never block people on Facebook, and it is for a very specific reason. It's not just so I can continue to try to engage them in discussions and potentially enlighten their ignorance. Rather, I worry what social media would look like to myself if I whittled away at all the opinions I disagreed with. It wouldn't just be blocking that one person so I couldn't see them, but closing myself off to their friends I might only be accessing through them. If enough people get blocked, you could close yourself off to entire social circles on social media and never have the foggiest idea what all of them are talking about. And I like to think I'm too smart to do that. Even though a lot of people block me because I almost never lose arguments and I'm kind of an asshole. When enough people act in these ways, it creates what some have referred to as a gigantic block wall. The rift between progressive and conservative, or leftist and right-oriented opinions becomes exponential. How could anybody who has cut off ties with every person they suspect to be racist on social media ever have an opportunity to find a real racist on the internet? Personally, I find it fascinating to find them and see what they are actually saying, these, real racists, and I've found them. They're out there. Also, keep in mind that basically every SJW is totally racist themselves. Not just do they demonize and stereotype white people relentlessly, but they generally feel it is more important to judge somebody's opinions based off of their skin color than it is to actually decide whether you agree with them, which is downright racist. Also, every fourth wave feminist is sexist against men, and a lot of them hate gay men and think that they are even more misogynistic than straight men. So, if we were going to go by the SJW regressive leftist types blocking standards, every one of them would be blocked by conservatives, or even just moderates. But here's the weird thing about the block wall. It is almost entirely a product of the left. I have almost never remembered being blocked by somebody relatively conservative, and I certainly don't hear them or see them encouraging others to block people. It's like the SJWs seem to believe that simply blocking somebody on Facebook disempowers them in some way, as if they cease to exist, when in reality, I would argue that it makes them more firm in their convictions, less likely to hear counter opinions, and more likely to surround themselves with like minded people. In that way, if somebody were to be a conspiracy theorist, it could be speculated that the left is the ones losing out by building the block wall, even though they built it themselves very willingly and gleefully. And I say this as somebody who still considers himself mostly left wing and was a Sanders supporter. I truthfully have to wonder if the regressive left could have possibly been instilled in us by a conservative media propagandistic think tank. I start to wonder whether the Black Lives Matter movement was entirely based on race baiting the way so many people say it is, and that part of the motivation for this media race baiting being instilled was to encourage people to create this block wall. But I should make a whole video about race baiting later. Also, I wonder whether fourth wave feminism was really designed to propel feminism, or if it was maybe just to destroy the entirety of the feminist establishment's credibility, because they have made every mistake they could have. Fortunately, the block wall can go away if we want it to, because we can unblock people. Though I have to warn you, it is very probable that people won't like it when they see the other side. But if you have time to sit through enough good YouTube videos, maybe people can piece these things together again. Hopefully my channel is one of those. Thanks.